Welcome to Digital Dialogues. Today, we are here to discuss and explore the synergy between enterprise cybersecurity and legal compliance. And for this, we have a very special guest with us today, which is none other than Dr. Pawan Duggal. He's a distinguished lawyer and a legal expert at the forefront of rapidly evolving field of technology law. With a wealth of knowledge and experience spanning over 2 decades, Dr. Duggal is recognized as a pioneer in the intersection of law and technology. He holds multiple degrees and he expertise in covering a wide range of domain, including cyber law, e-commerce law, intellectual property rights, and data protection. As a thought leader and prolific author, he has authored numerous books and articles that provide valuable insights into legal implications of emerging technologies. His work serves as a guiding light for legal professionals and organizations seeking clarity and guidance in this ever-evolving digital landscape. Very welcome, Dr.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So to start off with, sir, how has the evolving landscape of technology and digital advancements impacted enterprise security, and what are the key legal considerations that organizations should keep in mind?
Well, enterprises today are running a unique kind of a race. They're not only riding a running tiger, but more significantly, they have to constantly keep pace with not just the way how edge computing has become a central point of their lives, but also how these newly emerging technologies, whether it's blockchain, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, or even metaverse, is going to impact not just enterprise but also enterprise and its security per se. So today the landscape is changing dramatically. One of the biggest problems today that enterprises faces is how do we actually stop our employees from using GPT on computer systems located within the premises of the enterprise and belonging to the enterprise? And how do you actually stop your employees from uploading your detailed information on ChatGPT? There have been numerous cases where employees, when asked to make some business plans or some sales pitch, they are copy pasting the exact corporate information on these language model algorithms. And lo and behold, it suddenly poses a huge question, not just on the security of the said data, but more significantly pertaining to confidentiality and also protection of trade secrets and confidential information of the company. So today, enterprises have to be concerned post-COVID-19 that it's the perimeter security is long and dead and gone. It's now the entire edge computing and the devices on the edge. That's their primary concern of how do you ensure that the enterprise data is adequately protected. More significantly, businesses have to be alive at protection and preservation of their cyber security from a legal standpoint. Because today, almost all enterprises that are located either in India or that have operations in India, whether they are physically located in India or not, are governed under the Indian Information Technology Act, being the Indian cyber law. Now, this cyber law is more than about 23 years old. This law was passed at a time when the focus was very limited to grant legality to electronic format and electronic commerce. Since then, there's been a sea change in terms of technological advancements. Cybersecurity got to be defined under the amendments to the IT Act in the year 2008. But mind you, post-2008, there has been no change of the law. This does not mean that the law is actually chiseled in stone. The government has been repeatedly coming up with various rules and regulations which impact all enterprises in the country. These rules are for protection and preservation of cybersecurity and also for the purposes of exercise of due diligence by these enterprises in their capacities as intermediaries. And the latest instance is the IT Rules 2021, which have been amended in 2022 and updated as late as 6th of April 2023. So the message that's coming loud and clear to enterprises is that on the technical hand, please go ahead and ensure the security of your data. From the human resources angle, please ensure that your employees do not unauthorizedly deal or give access to your data or disclose your data. And from a legal standpoint, to ensure that they are appropriately complying with the parameters of law, because almost all intermediaries, all enterprises in the country are governed under the Information Technology Act, and now some very stringent kind of legal consequences have been stipulated should you not comply with the law. And on top of it, enterprises have to keep their eye on the horizon, because the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023 has already been approved by the Indian Cabinet, and it's going to be laid before the Indian Parliament in the monsoon session. So all said and done, a numerous kind of legal challenges and cybersecurity technical and administrative ramifications that enterprises have to be concerned in today's scenario.
Very well framed. And I think with the dynamic landscape of cybersecurity, even the legal aspects need to be as dynamic as it. And merging the two, that's where we come to the next question, that how important is the collaboration and communication between the legal and the cybersecurity team in an enterprise? And how should enterprise strategies fostering effective collaboration and alignment between the two teams?
Well, these teams have to realize that they are legs of one elephant. Now, if one of the legs is amputated or is not working, the elephant is going to fall. The enterprise being the elephant. So there has to be constant cooperation between the technical and the legal teams. Why? Because there are now increasing number of new compliances that are stipulated that have an intersection of both technical and law. To give an example, the government of India has now implemented the Information Technology 22, which have come into effect on 28th of June 2022. Now, these directions are mandating all enterprises in the country not only to have minimum level of compliances for cybersecurity, but also to mandatorily report within 6 hours of coming to know about it any cybersecurity incident or cybersecurity breach that may come and take place on their network. So in a scenario like this, if the technical team is not going to talk to the legal team, the response of the enterprise is not going to be comprehensive. So in a scenario like this, it'll become all the more essential that there must be collaboration, and both of them have to realize that they are two wheels of the same vehicle. And if the wheels are not talking to each other, are not synchronous in their approaches, the vehicle will not function. And their non-cooperation can have a prejudicial impact not just on the enterprise, but also on the top management. Because if there's a miscommunication and they don't comply with the requirements of law, lo and behold, the company will be deemed to be non-compliant with the law. The legal consequences will follow. And since the company cannot be sent to jail, the obvious people who can be sent to jail are the top management. So the top management suddenly gets exposed to criminal liability. In addition, both the company and its top management get exposed to civil liability as well. So companies and enterprises have to ensure that there is harmonious relationship between the two various branches of technical and legal. There must be constant exchange of information. There cannot be a tough war amongst them. Why? Because both of them have to go hand in hand. And together they have to ensure that the compliances under the IT Act, rules and regulations, and now the proposed Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023 are also going to be appropriately met on a proactive basis. You cannot just say that, okay, once I'm hit by something, I will start action. No, sorry, that time is gone. Because if you're going to go with that approach, enterprises and their top managements have to tighten their belts, because they will now be exposed to two distinctive kind of legal exposures. Criminal exposure for imprisonment and fine, and civil exposure for unlimited damages by way of compensation. That's why there's a need for more collaborative approaches between the technical and the legal teams. Also, from an enterprise standpoint, I believe it'll be much better that these two teams ultimately must report to a chief risk officer, for the very simple reason, at the end of the day, the company's topmost job, apart from doing its basic business and operations, is to limit its risks. And any kind of inactivity or non-compliance by other technical or legal team could open up doors of risks for the enterprise as well. So that's the way we have to go. And in fact, it's multi-skilling and constant collaboration, which will have to be the name of the game for enterprises.
Okay. And as you mentioned, these are two very strong pillars, the cybersecurity team and the legal team. But there's also ethics, which is there at the base. So what is the role of legal frameworks in addressing ethical concerns which are related to these emerging technologies?
law has to play a very important role in terms of addressing the ethical ramifications of emerging technologies. To give an example, artificial intelligence has suddenly come as a central lifeline for our day-to-day lives with the advent of ChatGPT. But then there are a lot of ethical questions being raised pertaining to artificial intelligence. Is it ethical for us to rely upon artificial intelligence to begin with? Number two, is it ethical for you to just cut, copy, paste what is the output of AI or generative AI and present it to the world or to third parties? And is it ethical for you to be sued for your reliance on artificial intelligence in a blind manner? Also, is it ethical for artificial intelligence to have bias against certain color of people or communities dependent on the big data sets on which the AI has been trained? And is it ethical for AI to go ahead and disseminate discrimination as part of its approaches? Those are very important questions. They can only be addressed through legal mechanisms. But we have to realize that as of now, the legal mechanisms pertaining to evolving technologies are only beginning to be developed. Recently, the New York state has come up with a new legislation on artificial intelligence, which is for the first time providing that if you are using artificial intelligence for employment purposes or for screening your employees, you have to make sure that your AI algorithms must be audited for potential bias and discrimination. So that's the beginning of that particular journey as we move forward. The European Union has come up with the draft artificial intelligence law, which is also increasingly asking for more transparency and accountability. So ultimately, the ethical standards cannot be given effect to by mere lip service. Why? Because there's no force of law behind them. So till such time, they don't really get enshrined in law in the form of legal provisions. Until such time, there are not effective legal ramifications that are stipulated for you not to comply with ethical or not complying with ethical standards. That is the only way we can actually enforce these ethical standards in the context of emerging technologies. Same goes in the context of other technologies, whether it's blockchain, whether it's Internet of Things, and whether it's metaverse per se. For example, is it ethical on the metaverse for your digital avatar to go ahead and digitally rape my female digital avatar? If not so, what should be the legal ramifications? I think laws have to develop substantially in this regard. But the entire world, we are now seeing a new trend where most of the countries are saying, hey guys, let's wait and watch. It's too early to jump in as far as the legislative approaches are concerned. Let's see how these technologies further evolve before we come up. But clearly, morality and ethical standards cannot have their own legs. They can only have the force and the stringent impact if they are duly backed with legal provisions and legal consequences for non-compliance with those parameters.
Okay. And with all these legal compliances, are there any other proactive measure that organization need to take to stay ahead of the evolving legal and cybersecurity challenges?
I think organizations and enterprises today have to constantly keep their eyes on the horizon. Yes, your main job is doing your work, your focused activity, but more significantly, you have to be alive to how very quickly technical and legal parameters and international best practices are evolving in the context of cybersecurity and emerging technologies. So it would be a good idea if organizations can do a couple of things. Number one, enterprises must comply with the applicable law. In India, it's the Information Technology Act 2000 and rules and regulations made thereunder. Number two, all intermediaries, all enterprises are intermediaries under the Information Technology Law, and they have to do specific additional compliances as intermediaries under applicable legal frameworks. Number three, there are specific legal requirements and compliances for cybersecurity that are stipulated under various rules and regulations. Please ensure compliance with the same. Number four, be ready for the forthcoming Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023, which is about to be tabled as we speak before the Indian Parliament. And try to do proactive compliances because there the potential fines have been stipulated, I mean, as per information in the public domain, from 250 crore rupees to 500 crore rupees for organizations. So these humongous fines are going to be enough for wiping out organizations if they are not going to be compliant. So proactive compliance with data protection will be an important parameter. Also keep in mind how things are evolving globally. let's also keep in mind that your liability is going to be there when you use these emerging technologies. Recently, two lawyers in the US relied upon ChatGPT and the cases that ChatGPT provided and cut, copy, pasted the same before a US court. US court has now said it's an unprecedented situation since none of the cases they relied upon were real, but were all fabricated by ChatGPT. And now there is calls for debarment of those particular lawyers. So it's a very, very strange scenario. Your organization's employees could put you into massive trouble. Have adequate enabling policies for use of emerging technologies in your organization. Ensure that you lean towards capacity building by creating more awareness about compliances, about capacity building, about these emerging technologies amongst not just your top management, but amongst the company at large. And finally, due diligence, caution, care will be the only mantras that will be actually going ahead and guiding enterprises and organizations in today's very transient and very uncertain times.
Okay. Great to have your wise words, Dr. Duggal, and it was a pleasure having your opinion and how legal framework are ensuring that they come with the same speed and pace of the dynamic cybersecurity world. Thank you so much to be here with us today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thanks.